Alright guys, Real on here, back with more AC3.
The power struggle in the power structure.
I'm gonna try to get to Connor
So those two
tonight,
things
I
bump him
think.
up to a 4 for me. He's still not playing
see, though.
well. But he also won a competition, and that's great. That's part of why he was brought into something.
You look
Finally
funny on this
winning a little bit of
Word
respect
is
in the
she's
house.
been stirring
So
up
there's a
trouble
long
just
way to go
outside the
before he
city in a
becomes
town called
contender,
Lexington.
But he's
Well,
on that
we'll
path
begin our
to
search.
becoming that sort
me
of
do
like,
that.
hey, we're going to be cheering for Kevin as the underdog later that I've been saying for, a month now.
Yeah, show me when that happens.
All right. So it's a 4 from me. Brent, how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know, like, here's the thing. I know the game is probably, maybe possibly opened up for him a little bit, but there are also ways that the game could get shut down, and one of those ways happens to be
so
through
we can
Kevin,
fast
who
travel
up
later,
until
right?
this point has shown me no reason to trust him on anything. He's been terrible when it comes to that. So, if I'm trusting Kevin, I don't trust Kevin as far as I can throw him. I gave him a...
Give it
3 last week?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I had 4 down. Boy, sometimes I change these on the fly, and I'm like, I forget to change them after the fact. I gave him a 3 last week, and I'm giving him a 3 this week. I'm not buying this. I know that there are ways that this can go good for him, but there are also ways that Kevin can screw it up, and I think if you've seen anything about Kevin this season on Big Brother, he will find a way to screw it up. So it's a 3.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I personally would give him a 3 as well, just because those damn reads, you guys, those damn reads are
You can
just...
read a book.
Right, a picture book. It's really, truly killing me a little bit to see him talk about how he views the house, so that's why I couldn't go... Because the thing is I would love to go up to a 4, personally, but I think that, obviously...
I think I did give Kevin
I
a
like
4.
that he's working with Enzo and Christmas now, but I don't... Those reads just take it down for me. And Melissa definitely agrees, and she gave him a 3 as well. And she wrote down, he won veto and doesn't really seem to be a target for people right now, but is he really even doing anything? And yeah.
That's the question. What's he doing right now? Like, are you doing anything? And like, if the only thing he ends up doing is something bad by spilling the beans on this Ian theory and it's shutting down the Danny thing, I'm going to be really fed up with it. Like, more fed up with him than we are right now. And Melissa gave him a 2 last week, he gave him a 3 this week, so like, he's still not in great shape.
All right. The audience... this is literally a 3.49. So the audience gave him a 3, barely, almost went to a 4, but went with a 3 overall. So there it is for Kevin. Now let's bounce back around to David, and the audience gave David
There's a
a
horse.
2.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with my 1 until shown anything else.
I think I gave
do not
David a
trust this
3.
man. I don't think he understands the game of Big Brother. Maybe position-wise,
Because I think
find a
technically,
way
position-wise, he is better.
say that he has an avenue or a foothold within the game, but I really don't believe it. I don't believe there's any way that this man can
Yeah, I don't think
win
anyone's going
this
after
season
David
of
at this
Big
point.
Brother. I just refuse to accept that. So right now it's a 1. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I need to keep this paddle handy.
Oh no!
Great. I'm honored to be a part of a Brett One Paddle podcast. Super honored. But Melissa went with a 2, and she said, I love the first sentence she wrote. She wrote, "He's still here, I guess?" ?
That's such shade. That's such shade, Melissa. Oh my gosh, that's like Janelle shade. Where she was like I guess when she was talking about Nicole, she was saying Janelle was like she invited me to her wedding, and she's like, whatever. Like, I guess she doesn't have anything going on in that shit town that she lives in up there. Like, she's never done. I was like, oh yes, here you Janelle. Anyway, but yes, go on with the Melissa shade. I'm sorry.
So I loved that. And then she said, also, Enzo likes him enough to keep him off the block. He's not actively, in all caps, actively, destroying his game this week, so I'll give him a pass on the paddle.
Well, it seems like Melissa is the one that's going to save David from the 1 this week, because I did drop down to a 1 for David. Because, look, this week includes the David thing.
Right?
And
was that this week?
an all-time
She's made camp
bad
not too far from
move.
here.
You know,
Excellent.
like, we
Well, the sooner we're done,
tend to
the
factor
sooner we can
in
get out of
2
this cold.
things, 2 main things when we're talking about the rating. One is their overall positioning to win the game, and another is how did they play this week. For me, that's why Tyler's 9 above 8 because he played so well. And for me, that's why David's a 1 and not a 2 because he played so poorly.
No doubt he's still angry about losing Pitcairn. To say nothing of the shade.
I don't think there's really any chance
No,
against you.
Do as he asks.
you do not deserve
In the meantime,
anything
I'll
but the
work on
lowest
having you
rating
released.
when this is the kind of
sorry
thing
for
that
the
you do
trouble.
in the
Not
house.
your fault.
It was so bad, and he went around the house for almost a week afterward, like saying that Davon betrayed him and Davon was coming for him. Like that's just nonsense. So
Absolute nonsense. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know where he's coming from on
We're
that.
too late.
It does,
Fire's
it
only
does,
just been snuffed.
make me
It's no
laugh
reason to be
is
disturbed.
that Melissa and I
She's
were
close.
so fed up with David last week that he wasn't on the block, and we gave him 1s because we were so pissed at his play. And the thing with Tyler hadn't even happened yet. It happened
Bullets.
later that night on Tuesday. That's when it all
These
happened.
tracks are fresh.
We were annoyed with David because of his
It must be
conversation
ours.
with Janie. That's where that came from. We were so
Seems she
mad
took to higher
because
ground.
he didn't even know what
Out of
game
the
he was
snow
living
and
in
into
when he
the
was talking to
trees.
Janelle and Kaser. Kaser, the guy he was gonna vote for, he was basically like saying, "You have no credit. I don't trust you, girl. Bye." Like whatever. He doesn't girl bye, but you know what I mean. And he's just like it just boggles my mind that we gave him a 1, and then he went and did that.
It might as well be a 0 at this point. Like you guys know my rating. It's a 1. If I could give lower than a 1, then I would, but I can't. So.
all right,
There we
let's
go.
flip back around to Kaser. I'm eyeing you, Brent. I'm watching.
Kaser
No.
deserves a 1.
Listen, here's the thing. I have to. He is guaranteed to go home this week. I love
Yeah.
Kaser. He's gonna go home 10-0. And the worst part about
Wait
it,
here.
it didn't have to be this way, Derek.
I know.
You know it didn't have to be this way. He had an out. He had maybe a couple outs. He just needed to. What I talked about at the beginning of the podcast when I was talking about my little run on Sequester and like play
Wait!
a little
Come
bit
back!
more social. Don't
It's your return to Braddock,
overplay.
Charles, before he grows
Reel
suspicious.
yourself in. Even
I
if,
can handle things
I
from
know
here.
that he,
But, sir,
he at one
but
point said something
nothing.
very similar
Go.
to how I used to think of myself.
Stop
where he
running.
was like,
I only
look,
wish to
like, they
talk.
brought me in here for a reason. I'm here to fuck shit up. Like, that's what he said.
I am
And
not
I'm like, no,
your
that is
enemy.
not why they brought you back in the house. They brought you here to win the game.
Please just hear me out!
You're here to win the game. You're not here to F shit up. So,
God, woman, only
you
let
have
me
to hold him
speak!
accountable for that.
Yeah. And here's
Enough
the
of
thing,
these
it's
games.
like he wants to F shit up, but the thing is this cast isn't the one to be doing that with. Because they're just like, what is this guy doing? What are all these calculated conversations we're having? They're not gonna care. They're gonna say, you're calculated, we're voting you out, period. And that's the thing, and it sucks because, and going back to the sequester thing, like, same thing, like, I also, like, when I played Sequester, the first 2 times I played, I was so calculated, and I was, like, guns blazing, like, here's a name, throw a name, whatever. Then the 3rd time, I was completely social, and I just made friends, and even though it might not be the funnest thing to watch for the fans, you gotta get yourself out of that hole, So, it just, he needs to do something about that, but it's too late at this point. He's not going to be making those relationships and making people happy and excited. So if it were to be my score, since mine don't count, and I love Kate, you guys know how much I love Case. I'm gonna give him a 10 as a goodbye. Let's give him a 10.
Yeah, the
That's
chat
a good
wanted
one.
that. They were like, Brent, you forgot
Aw.
the 0 behind your 1. Yeah, exactly.
There you go, you guys.
Like, I just, I'm really, like, I saw someone in the chat say,
I
what
see it
out?
right
Are
there,
you
like,
blind?
why?
Like, were you not watching the
You
feeds?
try my
Did you
patience,
not
woman.
see that, like, Enzo's heart isn't even in it? He doesn't want Kaser to go home. But Kaser freaking clocked his alliance to his face. He just seemed incapable of not playing hard 100% of the time. And I'm not even asking him to not be himself some of the time. He can be himself some of the time when he's HOH or when his team has power. But right now he has to recognize I don't have any power in the game, and what I've been doing hasn't been working. I have to reset. I have to do different things. I have to make people understand that I am not a threat to them. That I
Are you
will work
touched
with
in
them.
the
I
head?
will not come for the big alliance.
Me?
I'm not here for
Haytham.
that. I'm going to go after all the floaters.
I come in
He said
peace.
that to Enzo
Why
before, and
are
Enzo
you
made HOH.
speaking so
Cody knew
slow?
about it. I think there's a way that Haytham can
Sorry.
win the game. I really do.
And,
What do you want?
Melissa had quite
Well, your
few
name,
things to say
for
about
one.
Kaser.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's
I'm
okay.
Godzi Zio.
She basically
Pleased
wrote
to
out,
meet
"Poor
you.
Kaser, he's
God-
trying,
God's
but
day.
it's falling. It's
Just call me
falling
Zio.
on completely deaf
Zio.
ears. I get
Zio.
that he wants to play hard, which we do love to see, but
Zio.
I can't help but think that if he just
Well, tell me
laid low,
why it is
he
you're
could have
here.
survived. Also, as a side note, I hate that people are getting mad at him for campaigning. Totally true.
Where did you get
do they
this?
want him to just lie down
From
and
an old
take
friend.
it? Also, every
I've
time
only
Kaser
seen such
campaigns
markings in one
people
other place.
and is basically
Where?
laying out exactly what's happening in the game and
Well, it
their
is
position
forbidden for
in
me to
it,
speak
he
of
leaves
it.
the room
I
and
saved
they
your
say,
people. Does this
"He's
mean
not
nothing
crazy,
to
he
you?"
lost it. No, you guys are just too
Look.
hard-headed to see that he's right.
I am not
And
the enemy.
she gave his leg to.
I
Mine to
can literally hear Melissa.
I can hear it too.
Close to here, there is a
She
hill.
wrote the most on
Meet me
Kaser
there,
leaving this week.
and
yeah.
we'll see if you
Actually,
speak the
she wrote
truth.
the most on Enzo, but we'll get to
Okay,
that.
okay, alright.
The audience gave Kaser a 3 this week. It wasn't
my
the 4 that Janelle got, but it was a 3. There's one thing I like.
That town hosts soldiers who seek to drive my people from these lands.
I think he handled it really well.
They're led by
I
a
think he
man
made
known
some
as the
progress.
Bulldog.
The problem is that he had already backed himself
Edward
into a spot
Braddock.
that
You
he
know
couldn't
him?
get out of just
He's
by
no
one
friend of
having-
mine.
by one good conversation.
Every day, more of my people are lost to men like him.
Like usually my criteria.
Then I
for
suggest
giving
we put a
somebody
stop to
one
it.
If they're not
Together.
like it's if you're
What do you
an
propose?
all-time bad play like David, I'll
That
give
we
you
kill
one.
Edward Braddock.
If you're on the block and you're a lock to go home, then that's usually
First,
a 2. If it's
we have
your
to
fault
find him.
and you are actively making it happen, and there's something that you could have been doing that isn't even that hard to get yourself out of it, like you're actively making sure that you are going to remain the target, I give you a 1.
I don't trust
That's
you.
what I do.
I know.
And it hurts my heart, but I do have to give Kaser a 1 this week. It didn't have to be this way. It really didn't. And I don't know. It's not 100% that he would have stayed. It's definitely not. He could have done something and
Wait
still gone
here.
home for sure.
A Mohawkman
but
is likely to raise suspicions, if not
he didn't even
muskets.
try. He
This is
stuck
hardly the
to
first time I've
same
been
game
amongst your
plan
people.
that
I can
failed
handle myself.
The last 3 times he tried it. And
I hope so.
that's what I got. That's what I got.
Yeah. Yeah. He just kept trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and that just doesn't work. Like, that's not the
Stand
game
being
that's in
quartered
front of
there.
him. He has to play the
The
game.
endless
He
crashing
plays
of the
the
waves,
game once
the sting of the
that's to be
salt in the
played.
eyes,
Like, Kaser
and the
wants to
goddamn
go to
gulls
six,
shrieking and
where,
shitting
like, it's
everywhere.
back and
You're
forth,
sure
it's
that's
fun,
where we're
it's
going?
exciting,
Aye.
and,
The
like,
Bulldog's
you know,
putting
outflanks
together
are
another
drawn, and everybody
expedition.
knows who
That's what they're
everybody-
calling them
that's the
now.
game he wants to play, I feel like.
Expeditions.
That's not the game
Aye.
he needs to
Smart too.
Yeah.
Slap a fancy name on something and all
let's
evil is
bounce back
excused.
around to Danny. Let's talk about Danny. Danny was a 6 last week. Straight 6s last week. Everybody gave her a 6. The audience has gone down on Danny.
I hear
They
tell
gave
the
her a
French are
4
readying to
this
move in
week.
our positions.
Right.
Wonder what Braddock intends to do about it.
He's already left for the advance camp. I'll wager our little holiday here is just about ended. We'll be marching south before
week's
week's
bad
end.
about this because I'm not feeling Danny right now. Let me just before I give you my rating, let me just read her the riot act for some of the things that she's been saying about Bailey in the house. Like, obviously somebody took their implicit bias training not to heart because I don't even
Oi,
think that Danny realizes
where
some
you
of the
going,
problematic
Cully?
things that she said in regards to some of the house guests
Me?
of color in the house.
No, the other
The
cop
particular
Robbie.
comment that she had about
Well,
Bailey
I was
stealing
listening.
Janie's dress was
Oh.
so
And now,
like off
Well,
the
now,
charts bad that I
I'm
can't
going to feed you your
believe
teeth.
that when she then said it out loud,
And you were worried
that
I was
she
going to
then
be the
didn't
problem?
Say, oh, that sounded really bad. Because sometimes that happens as humans. Like, we say stuff and then we're like, oh, wow, that didn't sound good. And, you recognize, some people, right? You recognize that you said something that you should not have and that you reel it back in. But goddamn, woman, Bailey, of all people, does not need to steal. It just reinforces this shitty myth that people of color steal shit. And she also uses words like sneaky and untrustworthy. And I know
You're
that she's
hurt.
targeting Bailey, and so
That's nothing.
I'm well aware of the tried and true
Here.
mantra in the Big Brother house of trying to villainize somebody who you are targeting, but I do think that she has done it in a way that is unbecoming of her.
That wasn't necessary.
I see some people in the chat. No, I don't think that Danny's a racist. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying she's a racist. I'm just saying that she said some things that are on their face.
Meet me at
And if
Radix
you
Camp when
held
you're
them
ready.
up to her, she would acknowledge are problematic. They have no place in the game, and I'm disappointed in her that she did not recognize that she made some mistakes. Insofar as her rating this week, I think that the ground is completely shifted underneath her. And again, like I said about Cody, the worst part is she had no freaking clue that there's a big storm coming, so I gave her a 3. As far as her actual work in this house, over the past week, she has been completely snowed by Tyler. She doesn't realize that many people are considering putting her up. She doesn't even know the true extent about what's happening with Bailey and Day in regards to Tyler and how close they are. And she doesn't even know that Cody, her ostensibly her number 1 or number 2 ally in the house, isn't even telling her that she's in severe danger going into next week. She doesn't even have that. So how well can she be playing? Obviously not very well.
All right, I was with the audience on this one. I gave her 4. I think she's in a lot of danger, and she could very easily end up going home next week. But there's also a decent amount of people that might not target her next week, and the longer she has to like get out of this, the better. Not to mention, again, this Ian thing could really save her, and that's something to pay attention to. And while I think she's made a lot of mistakes, and I've criticized her game a lot, she's also still like she's no slouch. She has caught on to the fact that something is wrong. Just today, she was like, I think Bailey and Day are flipping on us. Like, she has already found out that she's gonna be in the target seat. She just doesn't know that it's Tyler. She doesn't know Tyler or Enzo that are involved.
I heard her say that, and I took that like as just like normal crafting.
No, because basically Bailey went to Christmas and said, "Hey, I've got some info for you after the next HOH."
Oh, right.
So Christmas told Nicole, and Nicole told Danny, and Danny was like, "Whoa, that's weird. I wonder what that is." She's probably aiming to get us targeted, me targeted, because by telling her about the Slick 6, and so that's like she's very concerned, which is exactly what it is. She caught on to that, but she doesn't know that Tyler and Enzo are in it as well. So that's where she's behind, but she could catch up, especially with Cody trying to be like, over here. So who knows? But it's a 4 from me. The dumb rogue vote was dumb. That happened this week. That's
after she outed it. Yeah, she told Cody about it. He rejected her, and then she did it anyway.
That's a play right there. That's
I'll be
terrible
back
play.
in a second after I start this cutscene.
She's in a lot of danger. Last week I said her game is balancing on a coin's edge, and she could be in danger as early as next week. And here it is. But for all the reasons I said, I didn't go quite below.
Use the snowstorm to mask your approach.
So, Melissa and I both agree on 4 for her.
Having second thoughts?
And all that she wrote was Danny is in.
Hardly. But I'll have to approach this carefully.
Yeah, I think that she is in big trouble.
Go on then. I'll keep watch from here.
Which I very well could have, is because of the fact that she has a lot of time in between now and, possibly on Thursday.
I can hide in that cart.
Why did I miss my
So that happens to me all the time. Like,
Yeah.
Did you get it back or?
No, yeah, I got it back. So she has plenty of time to catch on to the fact that it's a possibility of Tyler and Enzo aren't exactly with her. And granted, she is very much interested by Tyler. But I don't think I would go down to a 3 just for that fact. Also, you never know what's going to change in the house, the culture of the house. They may not end up wanting to take that shot. They could end up with power, and they could say, you know what, let's not do this week. Let's not do this yet. You never know. You just got to think about what all the possibilities could be. And I really do think that there's a more likely scenario in which Davon and Amy ends up on the block before her.
Right. So let's bounce like the direction that he's heading in. He
Alright, I'll work it down.
danger this week. Could have gone home with Pacer on that veto. Second, he's really on this kick of like the first thing he said yesterday in the morning.
Oh, did I fuck up? I'm supposed to use going that thing. Alright.
Making it to 8 or 9 because I can calm my way to the end. I think he's wrong about that. I think he doesn't realize that the competitions are different and he won't be able to do that anymore.
Okay, whatever.
Then he said, I'd rather go out now than 8 or 9, which I'm not sure if he's telling the truth or if that's just sort of like for the benefit of the people he's talking to. But I also don't love that. I think that
I can hide in that cart.
everything that's happened with Danny, Ian caught a break. He was in danger.
Oh,
He still
fuck.
would have been in
Oh,
some
okay.
danger. But with Danny going up and with this, pending power struggle,
What's in the lab? In the full inventory.
Ian was going to become a lot more valuable to Cody. And instead of just Nicole protecting Ian, you would have seen Cody trying to. He still would have thrown Ian in front of Nicole if he needed to. But Cody would protect Ian from anybody but Nicole, I think. And people like Enzo and Tyler and Bay and Day would all go after Nicole or Ian now because of the wall yeller. So
Those cannons are like to cause trouble. Perhaps I could sabotage them.
I fucked up.
General Braddock refused the offer. There will be no truce.
Damn it! Why, George? What reason did he give?
He said a diplomatic solution was no solution at all. That allowing the French to retreat would only delay an inevitable conflict. One in which they now have the upper hand.
There's merit to those words, as much as I hate to admit it.
And it was like, oh man, that wall yeller really spun your head. So, being to 4, I think he's like in some serious danger very soon.
Yeah, Brian Conway actually
I'd rather not be delivering grim news to mothers and widows because the Bulldog wanted to prove a point.
Where is the general now? Rallying the troops. And then it's on to Fort Duquesne, I assume?
Eventually.
The much north. Upset that he seemingly was doing nothing. Like, where is he in this season? What is he doing? And then on the other hand, now that he's actually doing something, we're like, no, don't do that. That's not right.
That map will surely be of use. I need to find it.
It's a similar problem to Devon. Like, he got this information, and his first reaction to it was spill it everywhere. Just the entire thing, he just dumped it on Kevin's head. Like, that's not an effective way to play the game. If you have this information that's super valuable to you, keep it in your head and use it. First of all,
Perhaps I
like,
could
try and see
sabotage
if
them.
it's true. Like, talk to people,
fuck
get a
off.
better sense of, like, because Ian is, again, similar to Devon. He's looking at this like it's a big puzzle piece. Like, he's fitting the pieces in different places, and he's saying, well, these people must be with these people, and these people are connected to Derek, and therefore that must mean that these people are over here. And he's not actually looking at the relationships in the house and how those matter. And so, like, he's looking at it like from the he even mentioned the Twitter account that likes to post the alliance charts, that he's like, oh, I need to figure out the alliance chart, but it's like, no, just look at the relationships in the house. That's all you really need to know. And I feel like a lot of the players in this game are really concerned about not looking like the fool, not looking like the people who didn't know about the big alliance, and they're all
Which
so
happened to Ian on his original season.
Exactly.
He's aware of that.
They're hell-bent on figuring out the alliance chart instead of working within the relationships that actually exist in the house.
Yeah. So I gave Ian a 3. Again, as I mentioned, I'm sure like people were coming for me because it's like, look, Ian was doing shit before, we were mad at him. Now he's doing something, we're mad at him. So, but he's doing the wrong thing. He's not aiming at the right people. It's not even in his best interest because he caught a break. Now, true, the break as it stands is really nothing to do with him. It's Tyler, making a play against Danny, and obviously that doesn't really affect. It didn't come from Ian, but it affects Ian, and he can't. He has a seeming inability to recognize that he's caught a break. He's continuing on this path when in actuality what he's doing may shut down what's happening in the game right now, and that would really, really suck for us really bad. So if I could just put a muzzle on Ian for the next 2 days, that'd be good. On the other hand, he's already told Kevin, he's already told Bay, so like the secret's out at this point. It's just how far is it going to go and how is it going to land once it gets there.
And I have to reiterate, the Wall Yeller pointed him at Cody and Nicole, who are his two most valuable people within the power structure. Ian's move is to take out the Tylers and the Enzos. Those are the people that are dangerous to him because he has no connection to them, and they power Cody and Nicole. If he takes those people out, then Cody and Nicole have to rely on him more. If he takes Cody out or Nicole out,
what news?
Inadvertently by shooting her name out there, then he loses his only connection to the power structure, and now it's just Tyler in charge, who has no connection to Ian whatsoever, and will absolutely want him. And Enzo, who wants out the champs. And like Enzo's like the one person that Ian is like, nah, don't go after Enzo. And it's all wrong.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is the score that Melissa wanted to change last minute. So she ranked him a 4 last week, and she was initially down on him from as of a couple of days ago when she sent me all of her scores. But and she had gone down to a 3 initially, but she took it back up to a 4 as of literally, I guess today at midnight. She messaged me and said, actually, wait, hold on, I'm changing Ian. And her original note for him for the 3 was, Ian is high on the radar. He was almost backdoored this week, and he seems like he's content with being a lackey for Nicole. And then she said, why? And then her switch over to up to a 4. She noted he has a great read on the house, but let's see what he can do with it. I still think he's in a bad position. And I do agree with that. I think that, at any moment they can just switch over and say, oh wait, Ian's back to being the next target, because this whole time entering this week was me seeing Ian as next, as, the bad guy coming after Kate, or who's going to be leaving after Kaser and Janelle. And obviously things have changed, things have shifted a bit, but I could see them shifting right back, as we've been saying, and Ian could just be the next one to go. Easily backdoored possibility once again next week.
Yes, the audience actually is also down on Ian. They gave him a 5 this week, and comparison to the 6 they gave him last week, which kind of surprised me. I think I didn't fully expect that the audience would kind of agree that this is actually bad for Ian's game, but they do. All right, let's talk about the final person right there in the middle. It's Enzo. Lavina, start with you.
I was going to ask you, can I please go first, because Melissa wrote out a thesis statement about this, and I'm wanting to prepare my read on this because I don't want to mess this up. So I'll read you the score afterwards. Let's just read the statement first. For Enzo, Melissa feels boring. I'm bored. He keeps saying he wants to take out a big target and make a big move, but he doesn't want to do it on his own HOH. He wants someone else to do it. I'm afraid that he'll just keep kicking the can down the road, and then it'll be too late for him to actually do anything in the game. Also, he has now gotten all this intel about separate alliances, but that don't include him, and it seems like his response is just shrug. Further, he's getting, that was in caps, he's getting rid of Kaser, who had absolutely no intention to target him and will be a shield in front of him. He basically put his hands over his ears anytime people came up to him to talk to him in the HOH room. People were trying to give him information, but instead of listening and actually talking it in, he just opened his mouth, in all caps. You can't listen if you're too busy talking, Enzo. I don't think he used his HOH wisely, but I can't give him too low a score because I don't think he's going to be targeted anytime soon. Plus, I do have to give it to him. He has a good way of making you feel like he's totally with you during your conversations. Even if the second you leave the room, he's like, yeah, that was garbage. And all of that is wrapped up into a 6
Hard at work,
for
I see.
Enzo.
A 6.
How did you...
Yeah, that's not where I thought that was going. I was ready for you to say, it's an 8.
A 6?
I gave him an 8. I felt good about Enzo's play this week. I feel like, look, here's the thing. I understand where Melissa's coming from. The Meow Meow said all these things, but to be fair to him, some of the stuff that came from the diary room, I do feel like was sort of diary room prompted about him trying to say he was going to do this, he's going to do that, when in reality he was really always going to go after Kaser, or at least initially try to put him up on the block and hope that maybe he wins veto,
now
which
it's
would
too
allow him
goddamn
to do
hot.
something else bigger. But Kaser didn't win veto. And here's the other thing you have to remember, and I talked about this in my Kaser talk. Kaser made it impossible for Enzo to do anything other than to do what he's doing right now. I can't hold it against Enzo that Kaser played bad. I feel like Kaser has tied Enzo's hands. He said to his face, here's people in power, here's what I'm going to do if I stay in. You're not in power. Of course, like Enzo really is in power, not in literal power in HOH, but Enzo is with the people that Kaser was saying, I'm going to target. So I don't see how Enzo could have done anything other than do what he did. Is it boring? Yes, I'll clock him for being boring as hell. But it's a boring 8 where I'm coming from.
These has been a tale of my incompetence and beg forgiveness.
And I think that that's where Melissa is coming from. It's just the matter of her being frustrated and, you know, she's bored.
That's cool. I've given out a couple of those sometimes where I've had it up to here with people. I mean, Danny, like maybe she's a little bit more 4. I gave her a 3 because I've had it with her. So I get where she's coming from. It's no shade. I just was like, we were blown away. That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
I mean, for me personally, I would also give him an 8. I'm super high on Enzo. I think that he's in the best position in the house after
such
Tyler.
winner equity. Yes, like
for
we
sure.
talk about that, like winner equity. Like I talked about this with David. Like
united in their desire to see Braddock sent away.
Possibly win the game. Enzo has it in spades. Maybe almost 2, and she's won 3 competitions, and everybody loves him. I think eventually people are going to look around and say we got to get rid of this guy. But for right now, he's just
who do you stand for?
So good. Taryn,
myself.
I mean, here's the thing. I was listening, like, when you said she wrote a thesis on Enzo, I was like, all right, here we go. She wrote about how great a spot Enzo's in. But then it went in a different direction. I was like, oh, okay, she's mad that he's mad he's targeting Kaser. But she, she's not going to give him too low a score.
Everything
she's going to stick with her 8. And then I heard you say, and I was like, oh, wow, 7.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then you said, X.
Many wonder why it is we push so far west.
What?
These are wild lands, as yet untamed
and
unsettled.
Enzo
but it shall not always be so.
If we did half scores here, Enzo is the best score of the night for me. Tyler was almost an 8. Enzo is a solid 9 for me. I love where Enzo is right now. He is in all of he has all the benefits of the Tyler power maneuver with none of the downsides. Where this could blow up on Tyler and cause some trouble for
around our territory.
Enzo is clean for the most part, and Tyler will take the heat because he's the bigger player, he's the bigger target, he's the more threatening presence. Enzo still has his connection to Cody. He's still locked in with the rest of the core 4. Enzo can kind of just get away with more just because of who he is. And I think he also has a great bond with Day and Bay. Tyler does as well, but Enzo's been working on it. He also made a new thing with Christmas and Kevin, which is really good for him. I love where Enzo's at. I think it's better than where Tyler's at, especially with Cody being upset with Tyler. I would give Enzo a 10 if he was as active a player as Tyler, where like he was the one putting himself here instead of Tyler kind of putting him here. I still feel like Tyler is a more capable player overall, but position-wise, Enzo can't be beat. So I gave him a 9, and I honestly thought he was gonna make a 9 this week. But I guess that is not in the cards for dear Enzo. The audience went with an 8 for Enzo. So there it is. I think that'll keep him at an 8.
That'll keep him at an 8. Yeah. And
so Melissa's 6. I know people are probably mad at this. Didn't change anything. He wouldn't have made a 9 anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even if she gave him an 8, it still would have been an 8. So that's not going to change anything. And he's going to make a lot of money for people that stayed with him because he had an 8 and he maintained the 8, and we reward good, solid, consistent play around here at Stockwatch.
Yes. All right.
Say that with a hair flip. This is my last week for my hair, you guys. I'm getting it cut. This is my quarantine mane. I'm having fun
Melissa had a week this week.
She's not even here to defend herself. I hope I did all right,
Melissa. I like this. This is fun. The chat just blew up when they heard that.
Yeah, she's just like off camera, like chucking bombs at us.
Yeah.
That's the Stockwatch for this week.
You are.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other questions here. I asked you to rate the episodes this week, and you guys
Not
said
so
5.3
fun on the other end of the barrel,
down
is
from
it?
a 5.7 last week. How do you rate the feeds? A 5.9, up from a 5.1 last week. I personally would go even higher than that for the feeds, just for the last couple of days alone.
Sir.
And then the season as a whole so far, last week was a 5.6, this week a 5.5. So a little bit down still from last week. I asked you to rank the players from your favorite to your least favorite. Last week, it was Janelle, followed by Kaser. This week, Tyler, back on top. That's where he was all of Big Brother 20.
Right?
Finally has retaken the position here for Big Brother 22. Followed very, very closely by Kaser. And then in the number 3 spot,
I was gonna sing it. Yeah, I feel like that's where the fans would be. Yeah.
And then we have Enzo, Ian, Devon, Cody, Christmas, Memphis, Danny, Kevin, Nicole, and David at the very bottom.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Fans are really, they really have not had any patience for David. They really are. The people in the house, the people outside the house, they are just like, yeah, you're right. They tried at the beginning of the season. They tried. They said, let's give this guy a chance. Like he thought he had good reads.
I know it
last
took you for a
season.
coward, Edward.
Come on, then. They don't cast him on the show. Have a great pool to draw from.
Such
give this guy
arrogance.
A chance. He really got a chance.
I always knew it would be the end of you.
Not proven to be an effective experiment.
Is the end of you.
People outside of the house have revolted against it.
Yes. All right. I asked also strategically, who should Enzo have targeted this week for his game? Usually the audience
Hurry before he
tends
gets
to agree
away.
with the decision. Even last week, they agreed with Tyler. This week, though, they did not agree with Enzo. They said that Danny should have been the target. 37% of the vote said Danny should have been the target for Enzo this week. I am going to disagree with that.
You're a hypocrite, Haytham.
I agree as well.
I'm sorry,
I mean, I agree with you.
Agree to disagree.
I agree to disagree. Danny should not have been the target. For these people in the house, for them, how could they not put up Kaser, you guys? He's telling them to their face he's coming for them.
Haytham?
Like, even if I was a fan of Kaser and I
Your
wanted
death
to work
opens
with
a
him,
door.
he's telling me to my
Nothing
face
personal.
that he's coming for Taryn and Melissa. I'm like, I
Well,
can't have you here. Like, I
it's a
can't
little
have you.
personal.
Yeah.
As much as I love you.
Been a pain in my
Okay,
ass,
Cody
after
and
all.
Tyler go up on the
But we
block.
are brothers
One of them wins the veto.
in arms.
Who's the replacement, Kaser?
Once, perhaps.
Even if right now you don't think I'm that attached to them, I guarantee you that when they go up on the block, things are gonna start coming out, and my attachment to them is gonna be exposed, and I'm gonna be in trouble. Like it's just not good.
More
It's not
liberally
good.
and more often.
28% of the vote went for
would
Kaser.
be a
That Kaser was the right
place
target.
today.
And then in third place,
this instance,
with 17% of the vote,
I concur.
Ian, they felt like was the right move. Ian, I do think that's a little bit more okay than Danny, I do think. But you still have to deal with Kaser. Well, now that Ian knows about all the stuff and he's going to target people, Ian might have been an okay shot, but he can't predict the Wall Yeller.
Yeah, exactly.
I asked you who you want to be evicted this week.
It's done.
This is actually a little surprising. 73% said Christmas. 26% said
I've upheld
Kaser.
my part of the bargain.
I think some people are just kind of
Expect
like,
that you will honor
Wow,
yours.
I'm at
All
number
right, get it over with.
67 now.
Because at this
Yeah.
point, a lot of people, I've seen a
leaderboards
lot of consensus online of fans
thousands.
just saying, get that man out of the
Very
house, get him back to his family. These people wanted nothing to do with him, just, from the beginning, and just get him back home.
all right. And then I asked, who do you want to win HOH next week? I did not include Kaser in this list because, don't waste your votes, guys. But also because, even if Kaser somehow stays, that's not a part of this conversation, so it's not worth, people said Bailey at the top with 29% of the vote, followed closely by Tyler, and then in third place with 20%, Ian. Bailey, Tyler, and Ian
You
are the
seem
people
disappointed.
that the audience are rooting for.
I thought that I held
to
a key
win
that would open
HOH.
something here.
I'm good with
This room is all there
Go
is.
with Tyler and Bailey.
Let's do that. Although I trust Tyler more than Bailey. Bailey
Definitely.
might do something crazy.
I expected more.
I can't believe I'm saying I want Tyler via Showcase. He's the only one that'll do what needs to be done.
What does that mean?
Everyone else is too weak-minded that might be easily influenced by people.
It tells the story of Yotsukizu,
Yeah.
Let's just
who came
do a
into their
quick
world and shaped it
check
for what life might
of
come.
The leaderboard, which I
She had a
don't
hard journey,
think has been
fraught with great loss and
updated
peril.
yet here, so maybe we will wait
But she believed in her
until
children
a later date
and what they might
to do
achieve.
that.
And though she
The
is long gone
stopwatch
from the
is unavailable
physical
right
world,
now.
her eyes still watch over us. Her ears
It's
still
fine.
hear our words.
We
Her hands
you know,
still
it's
guide us.
the amount of users is
Who
way
loves to
beyond.
give us strength.
Wild. Absolutely wild. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and disclose. Like, Terry, what did you buy this week?
I
You've shown a great
did
kindness
buy
to you.
Tyler, so
buy Tyler.
I should be looking good this week.
Thank you.
I purchased Bailey. I felt like here's the thing. I knew she was in a little bit of danger. I think she
Let's go.
maintained
Yeah, state of 5.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be worse than that, but it ended up being okay. I thought she had a 6 last week, but she had a 5. Anyways, the point being that I bought Bailey because I felt as though I knew she was in danger, but I always felt like Davon was gonna go home over Bailey, even if they did end up in danger, and I felt like then Bailey would have a long run in front of her, and I also felt like that there were other ways for her not to go up on the block. And she was rated at a 5 originally last week when I did the stock, and so
I'm trying
I
to
was
see
like,
the projections.
I think that
I want to
she
see
could get up to a
how
6.
Tyler.
Like
if Tyler
oftentimes
goes
what I'll do
up,
is I'll look at like
if
what
he's
the
at a
score
7,
really was,
then I
like
think
what was
I'm
it
gonna
down to
keep
the
most of
decimal
my Tyler
point,
stock.
and see
But if
like
he ends up
is
going
there
down,
was
if he
she
gets a 7
close to
next
getting
week,
a 6
then
last
I
time or
think I'm
something
gonna
like that. And
sell
Bailey has
more
been
of it.
rated higher typically in our stock watch, and also the audience tends to like Bailey. They do tend to enjoy her play, and as you can see with Franzel
But I can't get
and
the
some other people in the
projections
house, like getting lower scores, you can see with Kaser and Janie getting higher scores than they should have, the audience is susceptible to a little bit of favoritism. So I felt like
Lost
Bailey
again,
was a
mate.
solid buy. Obviously, I was wrong.
Did you find
I
it?
mean, I think it wasn't a terrible
It was not the right place.
plan. I think she.
The others are
We
waiting
see
for
the
you.
audience did come.
Yeah.
They came close to a 6. But I would,
Gentlemen.
if I had to guess, that she's
Please.
been a little bit
Sit.
sort of curt with Kaser, and that I think has waned
I
some
fear
of that
our
shine
temple
off a little bit.
is no
I
more
think
than
for
a
some
painted
people,
cave.
that would be my
Yeah,
guess.
and I'll just say something about that really quickly.
Although it
because
did
I saw
contain
Kaser's
precursor
wife tweeted
images
something
and
really, really
script,
sweet about Bailey.
which means we are close.
Like,
Not
Bailey
close enough, it
was
We need to
having
redouble
some
our
words with
efforts.
Kaser, and obviously we didn't
Expand
like to
our
see that
order.
because it feels like she's kicking Kaser
Establish
when
a
he's down,
permanent
and we know
base
that
here.
part of what Kaser is saying
Although the
is
sight
true.
eludes us,
But you have to look at it
I
from
am
her point of
confident
view
we
as
will
well.
find
No
it.
one likes to be told that they're stupid,
Truth.
and that's how Bailey perceived it. It's not
Hear,
about the
hear.
intent, it's
Furthermore,
about the impact. I learned this
I
from
believe
some of my
it's
friends in
time
Sequester. It's
we
about the
welcome
impact
Charles into our
of what you're
fold.
saying, and what Kaser was
He has
saying
proven himself
to
a loyal
Bailey
disciple
was,
and served
you're
unerringly
stupid. You
since
don't
the day
see
he
what's
came to us.
happening right in front of you
We should
right
be
now,
able
and
to
it didn't
share
make
in our
Bailey feel
knowledge
good.
and
She
reap
wasn't in
all
a
the
good mood
benefits that
already,
such a
and
gift
that's why
implies.
she was,
Are any opposed?
anywhere between curt and lashed out at
Very well.
Kaser. But
Charles,
I did
come,
notice that
stand.
Kaser's wife said on Twitter, hey, be nice to Bailey. This is how friends talk with each other when they're irritated with
Do you
each
swear
other.
to uphold the principles of our
reason
order
she can be
and
as
all
honest
that for
with
which we
Kaser
stand?
as she's being is because
I
she
do,
likes
and never to
Kaser
share our
and
secrets nor divulge the true nature of our
genuinely
work.
is friendly with him.
I
So,
do,
you know,
and to do so
that-
from now until death.
Part of that may be true, part of that
Whatever the
maybe not,
cost.
but nevertheless,
I do.
I wasn't as put out with Bailey as a lot of people.
Then we welcome you into our fold,
And
brother.
that was one of the most
Together,
positive things I've seen
we
on
will usher
Twitter
in
in the
the
past
dawn of a new world,
week.
one
At least
defined
on
by
Big Brother Twitter.
purpose
Like when I saw that, I
and
was like,
order.
that is the sweetest
You
thing. Like I
are-
have it pulled up right now, and James Ryan is on the side,
are
and he
temple.
commented saying, "You're gonna bring
You
this old man to tears."
Yeah, I know,
So,
right? Yeah,
I love
she
that.
really,
Templar.
really had something sweet to say about Bailey there.
May the
Yes.
Father of
I
Understanding
can't say
guide
that
us.
Tyler was the most popular purchase of the week by a decent margin. So a lot of people made a lot of money this week.
What?
Enzo was the second most popular purchase, so I think people did pretty well this week overall. It would be my guess. Christmas, the third most popular pick, so that one was not.
Sorry about your luck on that one.
She really
I
screwed a lot of
knew
people.
I knew she was like top 3, top 4 buys because the chat was not happy with those scores.
Oh, there we go. Projections.
All
Hey, I'm right there with you. I purchased Bailey. She didn't make me a dime. What are you talking about?
Okay, so that's what we've got
You all
for
saw that,
the
right?
week. Any final thoughts, Lavina?
Well, indeed.
Nothing. I'm just super excited to see how everything plays
The key
out.
must be the
Obviously, we
amulet
have
Ethan
a
took from
very,
London.
We might know what it
straightforward
looks
week
like,
this
but
week,
we're
and
no
that
closer
sucks.
to
But at the end of the day,
Desmond, you need to
there's
keep
a lot
going.
of stuff that's brewing and ready to blow up any second. So I'm just super
Hey, he's
excited
your
to see
ancestor
HOH.
too.
I feel like I'm
Why
like
don't you
that
hop
every
in the
week, though.
Animus?
I'm like, I know who's going home.
That's your
I'm cool on the
response.
eviction.
It's like
I
dealing
want to
with a
see who's winning
6-year-old.
HOH.
Yeah, if he
and I
gets
hope
a
it's live,
7,
'cause I
Tyler
love when it's live. I
drops.
hate
What
when
is
we have to
wrong
put
with you,
this
Desmond?
in. Even though I love endurance
14%.
competitions, I just feel like I want it to
He only
be
goes
live, and I
up
want
if he
it to
gets
You
be
want to
a
know
Z.
what's wrong?
Yeah,
I'm
speaking
sick of being treated like I'm not even here.
I don't have like complete
Desmond,
confirmation
do this.
about whether
Desmond,
it's
do
live or
that.
not.
Desmond,
so
you
last
better
week
figure
we
things out because the
closed
sun is
window
going
at
to turn
6
us all
p.m.
to ash.
Eastern. If you
And
want
I
to
know
fell
I'm
from
really
At
nice to you,
realsockwatch.com.
but actually I'm just another
We're gonna do
Templar
the same
plot
thing
twist.
this
And
week.
yes, I would like very
If
much
it
for you
does
to be
turn out to
controlled
be
by a
live,
magic space wizard
maybe
so that
we'll
you can
extend
murder
it,
me.
But don't plan
So
for
there's
that.
your
Plan
answer.
for
Don't
6
count
p.m.
on it.
I'm
Yeah.
sick of being a goddamn
so,
pawn.
so that's 6
thought it
p.m.
might be
Eastern.
different with you.
Closing time.
I mean, you're
Brent,
my
any final
father,
thoughts?
but turns out you're no
No
better
final
than the
thoughts.
fucking
I'm
Templars.
really hoping that this season picks up the pace. Like, if they can pass this prologue, we're going to get a really shitty
hear me?
HOH this week, and
Everything
nothing's going to
I do,
happen because nothing
everything
has
I have
happened
done
this season on
has
Big
been
Brother.
for you.
But I'm like, like,
Maybe
we've
I
had
pushed a
really
little
bad
too
luck
hard.
with some of these HOHs.
Asked a
Again,
little
Janie
too
was
much.
1 point away.
But try
Easter was
and remember
so close.
exactly
Like, we have
what's
really,
at
really
stake.
bad luck.
So
I'm
I'm
hoping that
selling
To get it
we need a little
together,
luck
kid.
to go our way. Ian talked
Running
about
out
it
of
when
time.
they
about
when
15 Tyler
the
stocks
season.
and
That's
buying
the number one
50
thing.
and get back to bringing everyone up to speed on where we stand.
You know,
Well,
like,
holding
it's
on to
kind of the
20
same way with
Tyler
the
stocks.
season.
Isn't
The number one
good.
thing that can impact the
It
season
appears this
is
temple
luck.
is
We
powered
need a
by a
little luck to
collection
go
of,
our way, and the power
well, I
ends
guess
up in
they're
the right
batteries.
hands for
You
something
found
really
one on your
awesome
way
to happen
in,
this
but
week. And
there
if that
aren't any
happens,
more,
then the season
at least
can be really,
not
really
down
awesome.
here.
Still.
Right. Well,
Any idea
that's
where
what
we
we've
can find
got. You can
replacements?
find me on Twitter at Armstrong Terran. If you ever
Not
want to
yet,
fill one
so
of these surveys
bring
out
the
to
tip
rate the
down.
players
It's
yourself, you can
database,
find it
so I can
there on
cross-reference
Twitter.
Which I think, though,
I
should
tweet
I
out
go for
after
Enzo?
the update. I pin it to the top of my Twitter account, so
I didn't
it's
think of
easy to
that,
find if you go to my
See what you
profile.
can do.
And then you can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Terran
Desmond,
Armstrong.
take a
I'll
look
go over
around
more
here,
of the
or we can head back
leaderboard
to the
in
Animus.
detail on
over
there,
Tyler,
and
over
talk through my
Christmas.
advice on what to do, my thoughts on where
Alright,
I might
one,
rate
two.
people, where I
Next
think
episode, we'll
other people
continue.
where they might end up being
No, he
rated.
talks about
come on,
where
I'll
he
run
talks
something.
about where me and Melissa are gonna rate
Oh,
our
shit.
stuff. Like he
Yeah.
tries to use his crystal ball.
I psychoanalyze.
Yes, he's like, well, Brent's
All
not
right.
gonna give that to
Here
Tyler.
goes.
Come on.
I didn't mean
come
to
on.
do
So,
that.
like this is what you guys should do. Like, I mean, he said
And then
if you want to know how to play the
he's
stock watch, you really should
Oh,
watch Terran's
Oh,
Twitch.
whatever, I guess.
Also, you can find me
Tone
on
is
Twitter
what
at
I'm gonna
one lucky gay.
Kaysa
That's one
Jared
spelled out.
Nero,
O-K-E. Lavina, where can
Next
people
year
find
ka
you?
huwag ta na
You can find me on Twitter at LPAVS with 2 S's. That's
Next year
LPAVSS on
o
Twitter.
ten digari wasta.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Nordum ko ziniot nesa goda ogun a. Zewa Jared asri at Dizax ne Hatham. Raganero
I think I might go for Enzo.
Next the Hondo
Yeah, because Enzo is actually a cheaper stock right now, too.
Templar.
Yeah, I think I might have to sell all my Tyler.
Ne on ha at get sarnis. Zigat get soon early on a higun sagandanu
Yeah,
agat
shit.
gahto zine
I don't want to, but I think I have to. But yeah, this is it for tonight, by the way. I didn't even plan on doing this. Getting this far, but whatever. Okay, so I think I gotta sell all Tyler, buy all Enzo. And I think if I sell 2 Christmases, I can buy another Enzo.
Is it one day stuff?
Onisa Jerdha.
Ya otena gwanek gwanek.
Radunagedu, te wakiri chirunyana. Runajugedu na daratu danu yagodunis.
How was? Nexi dosa izi nakahonda di yahaze.
Erda izuit di jona wat stage. Gariwas wat gano harenyu tigo yorunya zawadak gwanya sua. Gwana saksar na Johnny.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. So I'm bought 20 Enzo stock and bought 1 more extra. Christmas stock. But either way, we're done. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching.